personal kind of stuff done. So first thing in, step one of success is your motivation and your why. And so a big motivation of mine is servant leadership. And that's just like kind of a why in serving people, helping people become better. Like I've had a lot of success from the examples of other people I've seen in the books I've read from them. And so that's just kind of one of my motivations. And it's a good motivation to develop to become a servant leader, because it talked about how this comes from this book called Good to Great. And it talks about how they did this statistical study about all the public companies that ever existed in the United States for like the last 100 years. And they did these statistical analysis to try to figure out what makes a great company great. And what it said was that without fail, the one thing that every single great company had that is what made it great. And they weren't trying to answer questions, they were just trying to get information. So it wasn't skewed at all. Like they just did straight statistical things to find out what it was. What do you think the number one distinguishing factor between a good company, which would have like 10 years of success, and a great company, which would have 30 years of like compounded growth? What do you think the difference was?
Tracking.
What?
Tracking
metrics and stuff.
Like, yeah.
That's good. There's a lot of them. There was like 5 that they talked about. The number one thing is it said that it had to have a servant leader at the top, a leader that was almost like self-sacrificing for the good of the team, and was there to not like glorify themselves, and not to be like, everyone wasn't working for him and for his glory, but he was working for them and for their progression, and to help them progress. And the company is almost more focused in the progress of the people than the profits or the numbers. But when people are taken care of and people are made to be better, then everything rises, So if you want to be a great leader, like a servant leader or like a level 5 leader is the pinnacle of leadership. And so that's a big motivation of mine, is I want to be the best I can. And becoming a servant leader is a way to do that. And that's just kind of a cultural thing about us. So learning about the company and everything. But this one, why? So your 15 reasons why. You should go through and you should fill this out for yourself. Monetary reasons, social reasons, personal reasons. So like pay off debt, tuition, rent. Maybe you're trying to get through school and it means a lot to graduate. Personal reasons. What were some of the reasons on here that you would put? What are some of your reasons why?
All cars.
Nice. Yeah. You got some pretty solid like reasons why. That's cool. Why are cars important to you?
Because to me, it's more logical than spending it on like alcohol or like cigarettes or shit like that. If that makes sense.
That makes some sense. So the best salespeople, you should read this book called The Psychology of Sales. I think it's by Brian Tracy. He said it just goes through and talks about like the best salespeople and things that they do. And so it talks about this sales guy who just everything he ever wanted, he just wrote in this goals book. And he was like, I want that. It's my goal to get that. I want that. It's my goal to get that. And he had hundreds of reasons why. Just all these tiny little reasons. I want to sell because I want to do that. I want to go eat that for lunch. And so he just built up this huge reason. It's just this book of all the things he wanted. And then he was able to go out and make sales to get those things he wanted. And every day he was just constantly writing those things. So it was really pumping him up. He's like, I want to eat crazy healthy. I want to get like the best personal trainer that's going to train me to be in like this physical position. I want to like get a life coach that's going to train me on this. I want to drive this car. I want to live in this house. I want to like wear these clothes. Like everything he wanted, he got, because he wrote down what he wanted, and then he worked for it. And so like sometimes when you have one, like I want to get this big thing, it's so far and so long that it doesn't motivate you. But setting like goals and incentives, that's one reason why we do like incentives. We'll do like, sell this much this month and you get this bonus. So here's like 100 reasons why. And you could literally just sit there and write like 100 reasons why you want to do this. And just keep writing reasons, everything that comes to your head. And then it kind of stacks up and it gets you really motivated, because the goal is to get you on fire, to get you so motivated that you're on fire that like you cannot wait for the sun to get up, because you're so excited to get out there. You can't wait to get on those doors because you're like, oh man, this week I'm going to sell 30 and it's going to mean that I'm going to do this and I'm going to buy this on that check and then this one. And like you just get excited. And that's when you're going to sell the best, is when you're excited. So you need to get yourself excited. So here's like a why test that you'll take. Like, what are you studying in this sales training course? Like, so this is a good one because this will really help break you down to your motivators. So I'm just going to read through these questions real quick and think about yourself and kind of answer them in your head. But like, why are you studying this sales training course right now? Like, why? Why is the reason that you gave the answer above important to you? Okay, like why? Why is the reason you gave to that answer important to you? Yes, like answered again, like, okay. So why is that important to you? Okay. Why? Is studying this sales training course what you want to be doing with your time and life right now? Like, is this what you want to be doing with your time and life right now? Or is it just convenient? Is it just like kind of what happened? Is it just like, you're going with the flow? Is selling door to door something that you want to be successful at? Is it something that you want to be successful at, or is it just something you're doing? How will being successful at this job help you accomplish your goals in the future? How will being successful at this job help you accomplish? That's the same question. That is the same question. So what did you gather from that?
Meaning,
Like, I don't know. Did you the big questions were like, why are you doing this right now? Or like, do you want to be successful at selling door to door?
yeah,
Like, how will being successful at this job help you accomplish your goals? Like, do you see the connection between this and what you want?
yeah.
Like, I think you really do, yeah. So here's a big one. These are just principles. So you've probably heard of this before, but this is the principle of being proactive. So do you know what the principle of being proactive is?
No.
You know what like proactive means?
I know what it means, yeah, but not the principle.
I want to try this speech thing real quick.
Habit 1. Be proactive is about taking responsibility for your life. You can't keep blaming everything on your parents or grandparents. Proactive people recognize that they are responsible. They don't blame genetics, circumstances, conditions, or conditioning for their behavior. They know they choose their behavior. Reactive people, on the other hand, are often affected by their physical environment. They find external sources to blame for their behavior. If the weather is good, they feel good. If it isn't, it affects their attitude and performance, and they blame the weather. I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions. Drive. Stephen R. Covey. All of these external forces act as stimuli that we respond to. Between the stimulus and the response is your greatest power. You have the freedom to choose your response. One of the most important things you choose is what you say. Your language is a good indicator of how you see yourself. A proactive person uses proactive language. I can, I will, I prefer, etc. A reactive person uses reactive language. I can't, I have to, if only. Reactive people believe they are not responsible for what they say and do. They have no choice. You can decide to either act or be acted upon. Most people choose to be acted upon, and so if you can decide to influence the people you talk to rather than being influenced by them, you can make a lot of sales.
So that voice was definitely robotic, but did you hear the message?
Yeah.
So this comes from this book that I pretty much based my entire life off of. It's called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the first principle is being proactive compared to reactive. So reactive people are going to blame everything else for their circumstances and the way they act. They don't take responsibility for the way they act and for the way that their life is. They blame everybody else. Successful and effective people take responsibility for the circumstances of their life, and they know that what they're doing is their choice, and their life circumstances is their fault almost. And so that's especially important on the doors, because the more you can think this way, the more successful will be on the doors, because the more you take responsibility, like, oh, I got 2 sales today. Well, I got 2 sales today because the people were rude in the neighborhood, or because of this, or because I hit too many red lights, or, oh man, I didn't, it took too long to make my breakfast or something. Like, whatever reasons you want to come up with why you didn't have a bigger sales day, rather than be like, how could I've had a better day? Well, I could have spent more hours on the doors by doing this, by preventing this problem from happening, by doing that. I could have trained more. I could have knocked more doors. Like, I could have had a more positive mindset throughout the day. So the more you can think like that, just the better off you'll be. So, what does proactive mean? What does reactive mean? So these are some really good ones. This is changing your self-talk pattern. So below are various examples of reactive and proactive language. Check the box or phrases that are proactive. So it's not my fault. Obviously very active. I will do that right now. So that's proactive. I didn't see it that way. Thanks for letting me know. That's proactive. I just can't decide. Why does he think he is anything? Oh, not why. Who does he think he is anyways? My area sucks. The weather didn't let me sell any today. Everybody is treating me so mean. I am in control of the amount of effort I can put in. So nice. So just kind of watching out for thought patterns, because the more you can think in positive, proactive ways, the more effective you'll be, because the more you're going to be able to change your outcome, because the results of your life are consequences of your actions. And when you can understand that by changing your actions and your habits, your life consequences will change. But until you realize and take responsibility that your life situation is a result of your actions, if you don't understand that, then it will never change until you can take responsibility and understand that. So, and it's a hard thing for people to take responsibility for their life, but that's the only way it's going to change. So we got a couple more minutes and then we'll dive into this one thing, but this is just a big one too. This is another one from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but this is begin with the end in mind. And we won't go through the whole thing, but I'll let you do that on your personal time after this. But it just talks about, starting with your goal, and it goes into, imagine your 80th birthday. Imagine you're sitting there at your 80th birthday. What is it going to look like? Are you going to be in a retirement home? Well, you've been dead for 20 years because you weren't healthy. Like, are you going to be in a mansion with all your family and all your grandkids and all your people that worked for you in your company and all your people from church, and have is it going to be like publicized on TV? Are there going to be thousands of people saying, man, this person changed my life right here? Like, who are you going to be? And you got to start working on that now, and just imagine who you are. So those are good things. Well, that was step one. We were supposed to get through some of the industry knowledge. We'll dive into into that one tomorrow. But feel free to jump through this yourself. This is an advanced training. So history of pest control, need for pest control, pest phobias, just like what are all the pest phobias, so that you're like aware of that. Like, why do people need pest control? Talks about things like that. History of pest control. Pest control has been around for thousands of years. Size of the industry, you know, how many billions of dollars are being spent on pest control a year. Major companies in the industry. So here's the industry's top 100. So if you look at these, and you can see like who the top people in the industry are. So this is how when somebody says like, oh, I've got so and so, you're able to be like, oh, okay, yeah, they're the 5th largest, or things like that. So when someone says they have like Home Team or Orkin or things like that, you're able to be like, okay, yeah, that's the largest company in the world. Cool. Or if they say they have Terminix, Ecolab, weren't you talking about Ecolab the other day? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. They're the 5th largest company in the world. Yeah, they're a good one. Or you're going into Massey Pest Control. Okay, yeah, they're the 5th largest. Arrow, Aptiv was built straight via door-to-door sales, and they grew to the 7th largest in the world. So that's cool to know that what we're doing is how the 7th largest pest control company in the world got there. I think it took them about 15 years to become the 7th largest pest control company in the world. But we're doing the right model. That's how they got there. Rollins, it took 100 years to get there. All these other companies, it took them 50, 100 years to get there. Aptiv's just like whoop, by being proactive, by not sitting there and like letting the market come to them, by going out after the market. So this is just something fun to look at. There's a lot of actually companies here that are, you can look at this Utah. If they come out of Utah, they're door-to-door sales. So Active Environmental, door-to-door sales. And look at this, $200 million. People are like, oh, door-to-door sales is weird. Pest control sales is weird. Like, you can't grow a company via door-to-door sales, and that's like weird. Why would you want to do that? Like, they have thousands of people doing it. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars doing exactly what we're doing. And so it's not weird. They did it. Fox Pest Control, they're doing it. Edge Pest Control, they're doing it. Romex is on this list now too. So the Anthem Pest Control, some of them are out of different places, but you just know most of these companies from just doing it. So that's a fun way you can go through and look at that. Licenses, that's one thing we're going to start working on. You to get your pest control license, getting your solicitor's licenses, pest identification, actually be able to like identify some bugs and like know things once you have your license. Knowing about different bugs. So when they're like, what is this? What is that? So here's info about bed bugs, just a couple short videos. Here's the mosquitoes, couple short videos, termites, couple short videos, rodents. So if you go through and watch each of these videos, they're about like a minute a piece, but you can at least like say something about that bug when you talk to somebody, so that they're like, oh, like, you know more than they do about it. So just go through, watch these videos. Here's stuff about structure, understanding different pieces of the structure. So that was kind of your why and the industry and how much money there is and kind of bugs about it and stuff. Thoughts, questions, concerns?
Oh, it's more of a personal question, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Chandler David Smith. He works for Active.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of his stuff? Is it like okay? Is it good?
No, I think he's good. I like him.
Okay. I don't know. It just popped up in my feed last night, so I was like,
No, I think he's good. He works for Aptiv. I mean, he's a great example of the opportunity that you can do with this industry.
okay.
Like if you go master D to D, yeah, I've actually got one of his videos on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
If you go and you look like, one of the ones I like, because he talks about how you can make $100,000. If you haven't seen this video, you should definitely see it. How you can make $100,000 in 4 months. Did I stop sharing my screen? Share my screen. Why? Like, why did you? What do you mean? Is he good or bad or what?
Well, I don't know. He just showed up, so I didn't know if like it was like because there's so many thousands of sales things, you know. So I didn't know if like it's a decent one to look at.
Like he has a training course or something, or just like videos?
No, just like videos.
No, I think that they all kind of testify to the same thing. They're all saying like, hey, this thing that most people are scared to do is an amazing way to make a ton of money. And so I repost a lot of other people's content out there just to help build the legitimacy of it. Because the problem out here in Texas is that everybody's like scared and they think it's weird. The thing is, out in Utah, everybody has already figured out that you can make a ton of money selling pest control door to door, and everybody's friends and family are doing it. Like I go to Utah and it's just normal. It's just like, oh yeah, my brother, my cousin, my sister, like everybody is selling door to door in Utah. Like I went to church on Sunday and everyone is selling something door to door because like you can just make so much money. And out there it's normal, and so everybody does it, but out here it's not, and so everyone's like, that's weird. So I'm trying to crack that a little bit and at least get it going a little bit, because there's so many more people out here than out there, and we're literally sitting in the area that they come to for the summer to knock. Like they come in here for 4 months for like, ooh, to come knock for 4 months, and we are sitting in it year round, and there's people everywhere. The opportunity is crazy. But yeah,
take free money from the government. A lot of small businesses are grappling with this question as they learn about the ERC program.
What's up, everybody? So today I'm going to teach you how to earn $1,000 per day. Now, look, I know that.
So go to my video and watch this one because it's awesome. It shows different people making a ton of money, and it's Aptive's program, which is very similar to ours. That's who I worked for, Aptive Altera. The script is the same. Like I'm just bringing that here. A little bit of different culture. Their culture is a little different. They're a little bit more like bro, but I don't know. So what are the questions you got?
I don't think I have anything else.
Nice. How is your switch over pitch coming?
That one's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you want to throw out a little role play real quick? Get things warming up?
Sure.
Nice. What company do you want me to be?
So that year, I guess that's another question. That year thing, right? So you know how the White Knights, like the 110, were the 250. That's only the first year, or is that?
Yeah.
Like a full. Okay, so it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty industry standard for every company to have some type of like reimbursement policy where if they cut you a really good deal, that they just want to make sure they're not giving away the farm and going out of business. It's just good business practice.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just kind of allows companies to try out the service without putting on a huge like financial like burden. And all we're asking for is 1 year. I mean, and it's going to work. And if you have free reservices, like what do you have to lose? Because it's just 1 year. It's just like, let us come by and spray your house and like, just don't cancel for the year. Like, how about you just do that? Like, just agree to let us come out for a year. It's not going to be terrible. I mean, how terrible could it be? Like pest control is pest control. We're going to come out and spray your house. obviously if we don't come spray your house, then you don't pay us because you pay as you go. So if we don't do a service, you don't pay us. Like, but we're going to come out and do the service and we'll come back for free if it doesn't work. So like, why in the world would you not go with us for a year? Like we have thousands of 5-star reviews. Like, I don't know, like just, that's all you're asking people to do is just try us out. And if you don't like us or you want to go with someone else next year, that's fine. We're just saying, try us out for a year. We're just a different flavor of ice cream. There's thousands of flavors of ice cream. Just try us for this year. Like, just give us a shot. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, that, I don't know. That's kind of how you explain it too. You're just like it comes down, do you want pest control or do you not want pest control? We're all about the same price. We all do about the same thing. Everyone's going to have kind of reimbursement policy. Like if you want to pay full price, you can go ahead and pay $350 for that first service. And then if you want to cancel, you can cancel. And there's no like reimbursement because we didn't discount the service to let you try our service. But if you want us to discount it so you can try it, then we ask you to just try it for a year. But if you want to just pay normal price, then you can just try it one time. But we're going to tell you it's not going to work one time. Pest control is not a one-time treatment anymore. It's every company recommends a year cycle because that's just how pest control works these days with the egg cycles and the seasons and the type of products you have to use, and that they don't last. They don't have a residual of a year. So no company can come out and spray your house one time and have it work for a year. That is impossible. So like any pest control you buy should be on an annual basis. So I don't know. Other thoughts? What else you got? What have you been running into? What are you thinking?
What did I run into? Oh, I don't know. I gave him a flyer, but they went with True Green, and he was like, yeah, it didn't work, yada yada yada, but like there wasn't room to rebuttal, so I was just kind of going back and forth with it, just kind of chatting about it.
Mm-hmm.
But like then then his son asked about hornets, like if we covered hornets, and I was like, oh yeah, we covered hornets. So he seemed interested after that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I gave him the flyer. But should I pushed on that because that was like his father already said like no. I don't know if that made any sense, but like I don't know. He seemed afraid of like the sales end of it. Like we weren't gonna hold our end.
Well, I think we had a great example of that the other day, didn't we?
With
that guy who had 4 different companies.
Oh God, yeah.
Which I mean, you apologize, like, man, you empathize, man, I'm really sorry you had that experience. But one thing, so you said he had True Green?
He had True Green, because like, I don't know, I started with pest control and I didn't do the base. I started off with the yard. And so he's like, oh yeah, they like didn't even tear up my yard. And then they were still charging me like $49 a month. And I was like, I don't really want to bring up price right at this moment, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, because True Green is a lawn care company.
Exactly.
They're not a residential, they're not a structural pest control company. So like he said tear up the yard, like aerate it.
I think that might have been what it was. I don't know. He said like he still had holes.
Still had holes.
Meaning that they didn't do their job. So like near the fence, where it's like dug out and stuff like that, instead of it being level. So I don't know. But like when I like pushed more into like what we covered, his son was like, oh, you guys cover this and you cover that. And so like it was like a kind of piqued interest, but I wasn't sure,
Mm-hmm. I really want to get out there with you today and go over some, just, I don't know, watch you do some stuff and just do some live things. Because like with that one, so I'm just trying to understand. So you said you talked to him and you were like, yeah, we're Romex Pest Control. We do, this and that, we're going to be out here in the yard. And then he was like, oh, we tried True Green and they sucked. Like they didn't do this.
Well, he was,
that.
yeah, kind of like that. He was like, oh yeah, well, I've already, done that whole thing. And he's like they immediately both went like, or well, the dad went, we don't want it. And then I was like talking to the son and he was like, yeah, we don't want it. So I was like still explaining things, because we were just chatting about like the bad experience and everything. And then I kind of led into like what we covered a little bit, and then it piqued his interest, but like not enough to like actually buy. So that's why I was like,
Yeah. Well, I think like one thing would, be empathizing, sympathizing, be like, man, I'm really sorry you had that experience. That does seem like that sucks. Like, seems like it wasn't a good one. You wasted some money. And be like, I'm sorry to hear that. I'd be like, True Green is a lawn care company. I'm not a lawn care company. It's like if you said your pool company did a bad job, so you don't want to use a pest control company. Like we're completely different. What we specialize in is the home. So one, kind of trying to separate the two, like they are not us. Like they're a different type of company, and two, they aren't us. Just because one type of car sucks doesn't mean all types of cars suck and you should walk around on your feet. Biggest thing though, I mean, even if you don't want to go with us, no pressure. I at least want to let you know what's going on so you can handle it however you want, even if that's just doing it yourself. But with the construction and then these weather changing, we've been getting a lot of rodents up in the attic. I mean, True Green's never going to do anything in your attic. They're not structurally licensed to do structural pest control. We're completely different. And we've got thousands of 5-star reviews. So, I mean, you'd love us. But the issues are we're getting rodents in the attic, a lot of spiders, these wasps really bad. I've had a ton of people switching me from all types of companies though. If I can help you while I'm here, I am doing it for super cheap. So you guys are doing it yourself right now, or you have someone coming out? Okay, you're doing it yourself. Okay, I did have a lot of people who were doing it themselves. Go ahead and let me just take care of it. One, because they found out that if they broke down the price, that actually is cheaper than them doing it themselves. And two, they just like the free reservices and all the extra detail that we put into it. What everybody loves about my service, or I might interject a little bit of price, but maybe not if they're kind of like pushy off. What everyone loves about my service is what I do up here in the eaves, and then just go through building the value in the service. But like the point is getting to the point where you can explain the service and you can explain the price so that they can make a buying decision. And so getting past those like almost kind of smokescreen situational weird stuff, like and then just like smiling, head nodding while you explain the service, and then closing. And then you close and you're like, I do have a couple spots left. Are you going to be here tomorrow though? Yeah, I'm going to be here. I mean, if you wanted to give me a shot, I could help you without all that stuff. I just really need your first and last name to get going. And they're like, oh no, I'm gonna think about it. I appreciate the information. Okay, that's fine. Think about it. Just, like I said, I'm not joking about the bugs. Definitely call somebody or do something, get the stuff out of your garage and, maybe buy a couple bait boxes. Do you think that's what you're going to do? Like try to get into the situation. Like, so do you guys think you're going to end up trying to do it yourself, or you're going to call somebody? Like, what's the game plan here? Oh, I don't know. Okay. They're like, oh, we'll probably just do it ourselves. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. If you're going to do it yourself, a couple pointers that I'd recommend, and then you give them an even more to-do list and show them how difficult it is. Like, well, for the rodents, you're definitely going to want to have bait boxes on the side of the house. You're going to want to check them at least every 2 months to make sure that the bait is fresh in there. You're going to want to check the attic at least during the cooler seasons to make sure things aren't nesting up there, because they can get out of hand really fast. Out here in the wasp, you won't want to buy a big brush. You know what? I was talking to this guy and he was doing it himself. And I'm obviously not the smartest guy, but he was like some CPA accountant guy. And he said, he was like, well, come into my office. And I sat down, he had like 3 computer screens. He asked me how much I charged him. We broke down what I was doing compared to what he would have to do. And he did this price cost analysis thing. And for how much he gets paid per hour, he realized that he was wasting like almost $1,000 a year, a couple $1,000 a year trying to do it himself and doing about half of the service that we do. Because the fact came down is he was still seeing bugs. So then he was treating them reactively, which means he was always running to Home Depot. And then he was always spending random hours doing it. His wife was always complaining because he was always seeing bugs because he didn't know how to prevent the problems before they became problems by putting the right amount of product in the right place. And so like it came down to, it was just really a no-brainer once you kind of looked into the details of it. So do you guys think that you are going to keep doing it yourself forever, or do you think eventually you will end up going with a company? Oh, I think we will end up going with a company once we just find the right one. Okay, do you think that, you know, when you say find the right one, is it going to come down to price, finding the right one? Or is it going to come down to just like they've got the best reviews, they just like got their crap together? Like, what is it, like the one that has the bells and whistles? Or is it going to be that company that walks around and the people who spray the bugs are wearing bikinis and stuff like that? They got all female staff. Are you going to go with that one? What? No, that's crazy. Do they even have that company? No, I'm just joking and stuff. Kind of break the ice, you know.
Okay.
And then they're like, no, we'll probably go with someone. Like, okay, well, cool thing is, me here right now, I can do the most for you than I ever can. I can give you all the bells and whistles that I can, and I can get you the price as low as possible, almost to just like do it at cost, because I'm already going to be here and I just need to make sure my guy's doing work. So you'll pretty much just cover his wage. But at this point, I just need these spots filled up. So it's not really going to be like a profitable service. It's just going to kind of cover costs and at least give him something to do. So he at least gets paid for being here and has a full day's worth of work. Because the fact is, most of the other people are already paying a good price. So this route's already profitable. So if we can just do it at cost, then we're profitable, you know? I don't need to make profit on your house. I just need to get it done. So what I could do is boom, 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 like give a little bit, no. Give a little bit more, no. Give a little bit more. Let's get some buying questions, give a little bit more, like close it. Like, okay, well, let me just send you the paperwork so I can at least hold that pricing for you for at least the next couple hours until I get these spots filled up. And if you go inside, have an epiphany, you want to do it, you can electronically sign it to grab that discount. What email do you want me to send this to so we can secure that pricing for at least a little bit? Email, name, cool. If I do have any spots left, is there a phone number, address? Cool. Last little ace put in there. I'll go ahead and do this for you. Till you get it down to super cheap, you know, until they're like, okay, like what's the like deal? I'll do it for $49 for that first one. We'll do it every other month for just $79. Like, what do you have to lose? Nothing. Okay, well, let's I just need a squiggle in the squiggle box. Squiggle. Okay, tomorrow at 10 work. Yep. And then we like to make your life as easy as possible. So after the service is done, we'll just apply it to whatever you want, like a Visa or MasterCard. Which one do you want to go with? A Visa. Okay. You know that number? You need to grab it real quick. I need to grab it. Okay. And then end on building more rapport, all that kind of stuff. But I know that was kind of quick, but that's the sales process for that customer.
Okay.
It just takes like understanding what was said, memorizing what was said, practicing what was said, and then going out and being able to deliver that to customers. And you're going to have doing what you currently did. I mean, they might just be like, you know, actually, let's just do it. And there might be like a 5% chance or 1% chance that they're just randomly going to blurt out, let's do it. But if you have a plan and you take everybody that's that customer through that process, more likely you're going to close them, which means you're going to have a higher closing ratio. You're going to have a better chance of closing them than if you did nothing. You got to at least have a plan and practice it and work it and then do it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're dipping a little bit into your personal time, but I mean, did you want to try to repeat any of that, or you want to just go do it, or what do you want to do? Do you want to role play or?